So I am going to utilize all that sacking. Just sacks everywhere.
I mean, that's what I look for on porn.
I wish I could escape like Elspeth can escape, as nothing will stop me from winning. We can beat Ashiok forever and ever. We go to Theros just for one set. I will cast Titans, and you will lose life. Heliod will not stop my attack. And we go to Theros for just one set. That'll help us just for one set.
Yeah, okay. That's Foo Fighters for sure.
Nope.
What? Or they just stole the song from somebody else, I guess.
No.
They're rip-off artists.
Let me, no. Are you talking about the Foo Fighters?
Yeah.
You're such a douchebag. I'll give you hints. His dad was born in Minnesota.
Oh, okay. This would be, it's not Wallflowers,
Good
is it?
job, Wallflowers.
Okay. Dylan?
Yeah, Bob Dylan's from
Dylan's
Minnesota.
son?
Yeah.
Okay. See? I know Minnesota people.
But no, like, this is Wallflowers.
Yeah, this is Wallflowers. Yeah. And then Spotlight?
No. We can be heroes just for one day.
Was that on like the Godzilla soundtrack?
No, not We Can Be Heroes. What was that from? I don't know. It's a good song. And it was a good. That's from number 2, actually. No, that was from number 2. It was a good. I kind of killed it there. That's only good. The second time I went through it on my head. I saw it and I was like, I know We Can Be Heroes. I could just look at it and I'm like, yep, I got it. And that's the only time I looked at it until we just recorded the second.
You're excellent.
Thank you.
Sure.
Welcome, CommanderSmiths.
We're the CommanderSmiths.
I'm Adam Smith.
And I am Lowry Smith.
Don't worry.
We're cousins.
Hey, we're 2 weeks break here because, although it didn't seem like it to you guys because we pre-recorded and all that. But Lowry
plan stuff out.
Went on a vacation.
When you take your kid, I'm not sure it's ever really a vacation.
He went on a constant parenting.
I was giving my wife a vacation.
There you go. Yeah, you were gone for 15 days. Where did you go?
Went down to Phoenix, visited my dad for about half that, and then me and the kid, and then my brother and nephew, we drove over to Joshua Tree National Park for about 6 days. Kind of taught the kids some climbing and just climbing around, doing some camping. We're in a van, tent
down by a river.
No, it's a desert. It's
cool story, Hansel. Cool story, Hansel.
You just did it back.
Yeah, I did that.
It's good to be back.
But it was a lot of fun. Like Joshua Tree is really cool. I probably should have shown you a picture of like the trees.
Yeah,
they're like Dr. Seuss trees.
Really?
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
They're really weird.
I've never been there before.
And the climbing is phenomenal.
That's awesome.
So
did your brother do a lot of climbing then? Grant?
He tried his best he could.
He tried his best.
He did really well. I mean, like trying to climb.
Like, your brother's a really good climber. Yeah, he tried. Well, I wasn't impressed.
He just didn't want me to leave, or he didn't want to leave his son alone with me.
Oh,
so because we were button heads.
Me
and a 5-year-old.
You were showing him who's boss.
No, I was losing.
Nice. He was showing you who's boss. I get it. Nice. Well, yeah, it's good to have you back. We basically are really late because we did a battle boxes, but all we did was chat because we haven't seen each other for 2 weeks. So it's like, 2 weeks. I haven't seen you for 2 weeks.
We hugged, almost kissed.
But speaking of battle boxes, we did do battle boxes, and we will have a video up for that this time.
This was by far the best box we've ever had.
No, this was garbage.
It was sarcastic.
This was the most garbage box I've ever seen. Both of us.
Going on.
And I'll give you a hint. We were within $5 of each other for the final here. So it's a really close match. Not necessarily during the war part, but
also not exciting. Like just a ton of
it was a bunch of garbage
dollar cards.
To give you a little behind the scenes, because I'll probably cut it up and you won't really be able to tell. Every card we flipped we were like, oh, I don't know which one's
And then
better.
they were
Which
within
garbage
50
card
cents.
is better? Yeah. No, there was a couple that was within a penny.
Yeah, it was stupid.
It was really bad.
Stupid.
But what are we talking about on this week's episode? We have kind of a lot to.
You made a spotlight deck finally.
Yes, woo! A spotlight
Purphoros?
deck.
Mary and I went skiing.
Oh, no.
That doesn't work.
I'm not really good at pressing the buttons yet.
You're like, I like that color, and I am pressing it. I don't care what it
It's going to
says.
be a lot of blue buttons.
I actually was going to throw on there the spotlight deck thing,
Oh, you did?
but I got so lazy. Like, you were gone, and I'm like, I should edit the video or the podcast while I have time. You know, I'm not doing it last minute or whatever. Like, because normally we record on like Saturday or Sunday, and I'm cutting it on Monday and putting it out on Monday. But I still did the same thing. I was like, it waited till like Sunday night, Monday, and I'm like, damn it, why am I procrastinating? I was like, I'm going to do those buttons at some point, but I always think there was something going on.
It's all right.
Yeah, so we have
Story has
that one.
I looked at it.
Yeah, you looked. So we have the Spotlight deck Purphoros, the new Purphoros.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, so I played around with it on Tapped Out, and it's pretty awesome. It's a much bigger upgrade, which was your suggestion
From
to
Ilharg.
Yeah. Much better deck. And then we are talking about Buylisting. So it's kind of interesting. Myself, Trombley, Jeremy, and number 2 all did a buy list within the last couple weeks. Not like planning it out. Actually, I would say Trombley and Jeremy kind of triggered me to be like, I should go through my cards and see which ones to get rid of. But we're going to go through like when you do a buy list, if you do a buy list, how certain people do buy list and all that, kind of go through that. And then if we have time, we have ANLQ.
CQ.
Oh, sorry.
Controversial questions.
Controversial question, but we'll shorten it up with ANLCQ or ANLQCQ.
Sounds like
ANL
a cough
questions.
medication.
Controversial question. So if we get to that, we'll get to that. But we have a lot of things to catch up on this episode because a lot of things happened in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, patrons have been awesome.
Yeah. So we've had a couple upgrades, and
Yeah, so number 2 and Bill from Woodbury upgraded to $20.
thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. And they're getting ready because we're doing the
pick your proxy month, which is now when you're hearing this cast.
February.
This month, if you are a patron, you get to pick any proxy from any of the Proxy of the Week stuff.
From when we started.
When we started doing it. So that is this month.
And then a new patron at $20 is Dan Hunt.
Thank you, Dan Hunt.
Thank you.
You are awesome.
I'm just glad that your name isn't Mike.
Mike, don't say that really fast.
Don't say
Mike
it.
Hunt. Mike Hunt.
You're gross.
It's just like
gross.
Blackhawks. You don't want to say that really fast. Blackhawks.
Why do you keep saying it fast? They're going to censor us.
No, they haven't done it already. We're not big enough yet. They can't censor us.
They don't care.
They're like, oh, they have that many listeners? No, they don't need to be
that's
censored.
Too bad. That's great.
We're free, guys. We don't even have to put the explicit on there yet. Don't turn us in, please.
That's a good point.
And then what else we have? We have, the Cyclonic Rift giveaway.
And the bad card sleeves. They're in the same bracket.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Don't forget that. I don't want to keep holding on to those. Give that to
right over there. I
some
see 'em
lucky
over there.
listener. We'll sign it.
Yeah.
I will at least.
I'll sign it too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cute. And so we only have to do like half of them.
Oh, we're going to sign each one?
Well,
I was just thinking a special sleeve as the commander's, like the general one. Is there even 100 of them?
No.
So they can't even use it unless they like bring it to like a 60 card.
We just do it at the bottom, and then like it covers up like the other artists that are actually important.
Oh, Lowry. So we're gonna
I'm giving them away.
We're gonna do everybody that retweeted our tweet and liked it, and also follow us. We are gonna do a drawing this week. We'll post it on Twitter,
and we'll contact whoever won.
Yeah, and then we also, because it's another month, you guys freaking kick ass because we now set the record for this month. So each month we keep setting the record. I didn't think we would do it this quick on this month because last month was such a big jump. And I was like, oh, there's no way we're going to hit that again. But again, we're going to do another, having you guys vote on which card we're going to do with the card and proxy. And then we'll do the same thing next month or for this month.
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
Okay, what else? Anything else? We got patrons, we got the giveaways, we got proxies.
If you got any questions or ideas or anything, just email us at CommanderSmiths@gmail.com.
And like we had done for previous weeks, or last week was actually if you want us to check out your deck, the deck text series is still on. So if you have those, you can send those for patrons.
We got a couple that are in the works at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you follow us on Twitter. That's kind of where we do
a lot of our stuff.
Most of our stuff, yeah. That's probably where we'll do the drawing for the Twitter people.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's where it's going to be because it's all Twitter everybody. So we'll just do a spin on there. Spin it.
Patreon, if you want to pick your proxy of the last whatever Adam's done, you get to you can sign up and you can pick your
proxy
poison.
This month.
Oh, it's proxy. Right.
Pick your poison.
Yeah.
Everything P, just alliteration all over the place.
Peter picked a pickers.
You can't even do it. Can you do it?
No.
Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. If Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers, how many peppers did Peter Piper pick? Damn it. Almost.
Sorry, I'm a lot busier than that. So
yes.
I didn't have time to practice.
All right, so we get into this week's episode. Oh, I guess, and the free way to
follow us on YouTube if you so wish.
Subscribe there.
We're going to put battle boxes on there super fast, probably up before this podcast is.
You're such an asshole. Where's
Just
the
kidding.
asshole
It's probably going to be a
button?
month or two.
Damn it, I can't use the asshole.
Mary and I went
Nope,
skiing.
not that one.
No.
All right. I thought I had kill him, but I forgot that I changed the
Top 10.
the top.
How about this one? There we go.
All right, there we go.
That works.
All right. Now let's move into a spotlight deck. All right. So how this deck came about and
Oh shit.
what? Oh yeah.
Beer.
We have a special beer actually.
Technically not, but that's fine.
We're not doing that one this time?
No.
Okay.
So,
let me cut this whole part out.
No, that's fine. Because it's going to be 3 weeks of Parish Brewing.
Oh, but isn't it from...
So Louisiana Leo sent
That's
up
what I meant to make.
2 different kinds of beer.
I just wanted to make sure that
From
we were
Parish
doing
Brewing,
his, because I was be like, hey, Louisiana Leo, and then we're not drinking the beer he gave us.
But we're not.
Oh,
This is from his company, Parish Brewing, but this one's going to be Pure Tropics. I picked this one up in Phoenix.
Oh, okay.
So whenever I go to the South, I look for beer from Parish Brewing because it's always good. So
And we have a listener that's in that company, so hell yeah. This looks amazing. Let me take a little taste. Ooh, I like that.
You like that? You like that?
yeah,
That's really good. Did you already
really
have some of it?
interesting. Yeah, I had one when I was in Phoenix. I did a lot of not sharing
Not
with
sharing
Adams.
with me. That's
it was
awesome.
amazing.
No. Yeah. For a while there, our Twitter feed was just beer.
Well,
and then you could tell when you were out of service because then
Nothing.
It was just me tweeting. I'm like, well, Larry's not in service. And then all of a sudden, beer again. Oh, Larry's back in service again. Friggin' drinker.
Yeah, this is really good. I like the sour up front and then like a nice bitter. It melds together really well.
I'm not tasting the sour in the beginning. It seems smooth, but I do get the bitter aftertaste. I like that.
You like that? You like that?
Very nice. Well, thank you, Louisiana Leo.
It's me.
Well,
He sent up 2 others. We'll do those in the next 2 weeks.
thank
He
you
has,
for being a part of that company to make you get these. Does that work?
We could just thank Leo. That's fine.
Thank you, Lowry, for picking these up and driving them across the border.
Don't touch my bottle.
Border of states.
I probably gotta pay taxes on this for bringing it back too.
All right, so now a
spotlight deck.
Do you want some beer?
No, I don't, because if you didn't even listen to last time's episode, don't eat it, because I was grossed out I could hear us just going. I'm like, damn, we're not doing that again. And then you're popping one in your mouth. You didn't even listen to our damn episodes. It was gross. So I kind of mentioned before, the story behind Purphoros was actually Lowry suggested, hey, you don't like your Ilrog deck, so why don't you kill that and make this, because it's very similar to it. It is very similar, but I think this just works better because going back to your hand, it's just always, I don't know, it's a different trigger. You're trying to get ETB stuff, whereas a sacrifice, you can take advantage of different things by going to your graveyard. So it's a little bit different animal with this. I used a lot of similar cards, but I would say the ones that stayed in, there's probably about 15, 20 that were the same. And then the rest was kind of mixed around different cards and stuff.
Okay.
So if you don't know what Purphoros does, go ahead, Larry.
No, I don't know what it does. Purphoros, bronze-blooded, 4 colorless, and a red, 7/6 indestructible, devotion to be a creature, Other creatures you control have haste, and then you can pay 2 colorless or red. You may put a red creature card or an artifact creature card from your hand into the battlefield. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step.
So the interesting part, I'll say from first testing this out on, doing it on Tapped Out and just playing it through, the haste part is actually really important because how I did differently than I did with Ilhrog, and probably the reason why it was bad is because I purposely was like, I'm only going to use creatures that have ETB effects, and I didn't put Mono Rocks in them. Remember, I didn't have Soul Ring or any of that crap in there originally.
No, that was a bad decision.
Yeah, well, because I was trying to be like genius, like Lowry when you did your Nylea deck, where you're like, I'm only doing creatures. Isn't that right? That's right. Yeah. Nikia. You start with an N, but you just did only creatures, and that deck is fucking badass. And I was like, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to be a genius, and I'm going to just only do this or ETB stuff. And no, it didn't turn out good. So the interesting part is when you get late enough game with this, you have enough Mono Rocks and just mana out in general that you sometimes can just cast the creatures. The ones that you want to keep in play, you'll cast them. If you don't have any of the tricks on the board, you can just cast the creatures and they can attack right away. So each one of them, because it's a sacrifice thing that's happening, each one of them has an ability of when it does damage or when it's attacking. So you want that benefit of them coming into play and going right away.
Okay.
One other thing I did in this was I didn't have a lot of protection for my commander because he's indestructible. So people have to exile him to get rid of him, which that's pretty much the only way you're getting rid of him, or just, using the auras that we've talked about.
And if he's not a creature, that makes it even tougher.
Right.
Like a lot of white players are going to run Swords of Plowshare and Path to Exile and just be able to target it. But if it's not a creature, you're talking about sorcery speed removal, and if you're able to do it in one turn, you're kind of getting through that.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with the meat and potatoes of everything.
I don't even know why you use potatoes.
You're
right.
Like
potatoes.
I don't know why. It's just it's the same.
How about like corned beef and cabbage of
Gross.
the deck?
I'm gonna.
What are you talking about?
Gross. Cabbage.
Oh my god.
Corned beef. What is wrong with you?
I'm much more Irish than you, I guess.
How about the Big Mac and fries of the? What?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? And a Diet Coke. McDonald's Diet Coke.
Coke Zero
is the best. Diet Coke from McDonald's.
No, it's not.
So good.
Tastes like water.
So good. So good. All right. So a lot of these creatures some of them have ETBs. Some of them have when they're dealing damage. Some of them have when they're sacrificed, something happens. So just kind of let's run through them really quick.
Dockside Extortionist.
And that's just, if you can, when it comes in, you get that many treasure tokens for how many artifacts your opponents have.
And enchantments.
Is it and enchantments?
X treasure tokens where X is the number of artifacts and enchantments.
Oh, I always just thought it was artifacts. That's even better.
It's still good with
just artifacts. Jeez. Well, that's why I wouldn't put it in just for the artifacts, but just enchantments.
Think if somebody else plays their own Dockside Extortionist and then you play it the next turn, you get all of their treasure tokens counting. Oh.
No, so the thing is, and I should almost, really quick before we get to the creature part, I do want you to just mention these two cards because I want to think about this too. Okay. Because
so doubling them up.
Yeah, this was in the Ilhrog deck, these two.
Minion Reflector, whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, you can pay 2. If you do, you put a token into play and it's sacked at the end of the turn.
Same thing as with the
Flame Shadow Conjuring, same deal, just pay a red instead.
Yeah. So the thing is I want to have these out if I can, because then I play Dockside Extortionist and I'm making another copy so that I'm getting double all these creatures. You're getting double the triggers with it, and you're sacrificing them anyways. I do have about 7 to 9 sack outlets in this deck, and so I am going to utilize all that sacking. Just sacks everywhere.
I mean, that's what I look for on porn. What? Sorry. What were we talking about?
I wish we had video at this point. We will at some point. We always keep saying that, but you just sold it with your facial expression. Like, what? Like just acting.
Yeah, that's what I'm known for. Acting.
It was good. That's what made me laugh, is your stupid expression afterwards.
Thanks. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, it is actually.
Shut up. Fell into the third path.
So this utilizes. Oh, go ahead, read it. Sorry, I should say what the card does. Basically, it
doesn't matter.
Playing, you're able to make a token of a creature that's in your graveyard. You don't even exile it. You're just making a token copy, sacrificing it in the turn. So things that I do sacrifice, if they get to the graveyard, I'm fine with it because I do have things that play off the graveyard as well.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing. That's kind of why I lean towards or like graveyard decks, because it allows you to reuse those cards if you need to later.
It doesn't make it so that, oh crap, this just got killed. Well, I'll never see that again. But if you're able to have that ability to play the cards that are in there, well, that just makes your deck that much more playable.
And the biggest thing
bigger.
about Feldon of the third path is that it has summoning sickness. But with Purphoros, it doesn't. So you can easily go like
play him regular
and then bring a creature back from your graveyard until end of turn. It's just like, that's pretty good.
There is a couple things in here, but the thing I like is when they say sacrifice, because there's some trigger other things that when you sacrifice it, you get an ability. The things that kind of stink are the ones that say exile. So I like that it's allowing me to sacrifice and take advantage of other things that might trigger off of that. We might not talk about those in this, but I do have some things that do that.
And you can always check out the deck list at tappedout.net, and we'll put a link underneath in the notes. Next one's going to be Hellkite Tyrant.
And that's just the dude that he's the one that does the damage. No,
deals damage and you steal all of their artifacts.
So if you have multiple copies of this dude out, and that's the thing is he's not legendary, so you can potentially have multiples if you have your other things out. You can steal everybody. You know, you can hit that player.
Like if you flame shadow conjuring it and you go boom boom, you take all
everybody's artifacts. Yeah. So
it seems good.
Yeah.
And then if you have like 20 or more artifacts,
then you win the game.
You win the game. That's probably just unlikely.
But it's more of a I'm stealing your shit is kind of the thing. One thing that we're not going to get to in the creatures and stuff I didn't put in there, but I just wanted to make mention. I do have, of course, Blood Moon and Magus of the Moon in here because I'm only playing mountains. So it's like screw people over if you can.
You didn't put Command Tower in there?
I did not.
Just kidding. You don't need to.
I did put Command Beacon.
That makes sense. Kiki Jiki, Mirror Breaker. This card's crazy. It's
so
crazy. Get one if you don't have it.
Yeah, it's just making a copy. Yeah, as long as it's non-legendary. Boom.
Hoarding Dragon, 4/4. When it comes into play, go and search for your library for an artifact, exile it, and when a Hoarding Dragon dies, you get to put that artifact into your hand.
So this is one that I'm just gonna let die because I want to go get an artifact. You know, I'm probably gonna go get. I probably wouldn't do Blightsteel, but I do have Blightsteel in here. We're not going to talk about him. Right. So you could go get him, but it's artifacts and red creatures that have the ability with Purphoros. So I'm able to go get anything with that, which is really nice.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So you could play that, just sack it for whatever, get that thing into your hand, Purphoros out, Blightsteel. God damn it. Fanatic of Mogus.
This one was really sick when I did some play testing through because I used, which we'll talk about in a little bit, the Cauldron.
Cauldron of Souls.
Is that the -1/-1 thing?
Yeah. I think so.
Use that and it would come back in and it was and I had multiple copies coming in. So I was like able to keep doing it.
Dealing a bunch of damage. Yeah. So that when it comes into play, it deals damage equal to the amount of red devotion you have on the field. And so...
but it's all opponents. So it's hitting everybody at once.
That seems... It's a little bit like Red's Grey Merchant of Asphodel, but not nearly as good.
But
for mono red.
When I was able to do it, it happened, I think I was able to do it 3 times, 3 different tokens or whatever, and it did a total of 6, 8 twice. So what, 16, 22 points of damage all around. What? Because that's how much my devotion was.
Yeah.
So it came in 3 times.
Yeah.
It was 8,
22
8
to each.
16, and then another 6. 8. So 3 copies of them came into play. And during those times, it wasn't all at the once. 2 of them were at once or whatever. I don't know. It just came out to 22 points.
You're going to want to cut this.
No, because when he came... Because he did... I had my devotion was 8.
Plus 8.
It's 16.
Yeah.
Plus another 6 is 22.
Why was the other 6?
Because I did it 3. He was able to come into play 3 different times.
Okay.
And the same, 2 or 3 turns.
Okay.
I was able to sack him. He came back. I think what ended up happening was I first had the Cauldron out, and he came back in with the -1/-1, and that's what did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had Lifeline out after that.
Okay.
So then I just sacked him. He came back in again because at the end of play I had creatures, and then he just came back into play. And then so at certain points, and when I was play testing this out, I was like, all right, I have a pretty good feel of where I'm at. I never was like, you can't tell if you win the game because you're not interacting with anybody.
Yeah.
So by that point, I was like, all right, that did its little thing. So I kind of scooped at that point. But it just seemed, and that was the only time I hit him though, because I've probably done the play testing 10 to 20 times, and I only hit him that one time. So, that's Commander.
Itali, Primal Storm. This is the Elder Dragon.
Yeah, we like that one. We've talked about him a bunch.
6/6 for 6. Whenever Itali attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. Then you may cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. That seems like good card draw,
yeah,
too.
for sure. That's one thing that I had to tweak after testing it out was I didn't have enough card draw, and that's actually I texted you. I was like, yeah, this is good.
Oh, yeah.
But I was running out of cards so quick, and then we kind of talked it over, and I added two cards, and then one's kind of on the side. I'm play testing to see where I can get it to fit in. But this was already in there. This is just really good card draw.
Duplicant is an awesome card.
Just removal.
When it comes into play, exile a creature or an opponent's creature. Combustible Gear Hulk. I love this card as well. 6/6 first strike for 6. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent chooses to have either the top 3 cards go into your hand or they take damage equal to the CMC.
So the reason I was kind of leaning over to make sure, I was like, he isn't legendary. So this is also one that you can make multiple copies
Double
if you
up,
can get it.
bring back. But like the big thing why it's really good in this style of deck.
You get to choose the opponent.
Well, that's also good. But your converted mana cost for your deck is just so much higher because you're able to cheat in those high creatures. So more than likely, I would just be like, well, I guess put it in your hand, and then I know I'm going to be dealing with that anyway because I don't want to take potentially 15 damage off of it. And also, if you're stacking that trigger, that seems crazy. You're like, hey, I'm gonna put 6 to 9 cards in my hand. Do you want to take all that damage? I'm going to choose.
Do you want to die?
And they're just going to go, no, draw 9 cards.
Yeah.
So crazy.
This next one's it's a garbage card by itself, but with this being able to make multiple copies, I thought might be interesting. And so this one is kind of on the cutting board. It might stay and it might not, but I just thought it was an interesting card. Might as well talk about it because it might be gone at some point.
Tyrant of Discord. This is a 7/7 for 7. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent chooses a permanent he or she controls at random and sacrifices it. If a non-land permanent is sacrificed this way, repeat the process.
So it keeps sacrificing until they get a land.
Yeah.
So at the very least, it's a land kill.
7/7 that destroys a land.
But could do more.
Or could do more.
And if there's multiple copies, is kind of what I was going after. Yeah. Or if I'm bringing it back from the graveyard. Or, there's things.
It seems like a strong ability. I agree. I've considered this card in other decks and just go, just not doing enough if it only hits one thing.
Yeah. So I think that's what's going to happen is I'm going to test it out. And when it does it, if it always hits the land every time, I'm just going to be like, all right, that card's gone. I want to see if it gets multiple things. And I got to figure out how the randomness is going to go. You're going to have to go, I guess you count everything
Random's better for you than it is me. So that's, I think.
Tails every time.
Wormcoil Engine.
Just a good ad.
In this card. Yeah.
So this one's interesting.
Null Spine Dragon.
Because what it does, I think you have this card. I think I've seen you play this before, right?
Talia.
Yeah. So when it comes into play, you may discard your hand. If you do, you can draw cards equal to the amount of damage a target opponent lost that turn. So what the interesting thing is with this deck is sometimes I might leave open 3 mana if I don't feel like it's gonna work, or I might have something I'm gonna use as a surprise blocker. If I just leave that open, people might not know what's happening. This happens, I can do it on anybody else's turn. So if somebody else is doing damage to somebody, I'm like, oh, he just took 10 points of damage. Boom, drop this down, I do it. Or I do it the other way around. If I'm swinging through and doing damage, then I can play this after I've done my damage and draw that many cards.
Essentially pay 3 to draw a ton of cards.
Yeah.
And get rid of a 7/5 dragon.
Yeah. So it seems like it should be interesting with the creatures. Those aren't all the creatures. I kind of just picked the ones that had some interesting things to them. Because you also do have like Solm Simulacrum, because you're using the sack ability with him and all that fun stuff. And then
apparently Blightsteel Colossus. That's super fun.
But then I don't really want to talk about them very much, but we got a couple sack outlets like these.
Goblin Bombardment, Ashnod's Altar. Yeah, they're solid.
Oh, I did want to add one thing. So CMD Tower tweeted out a card this week. What was it? It was Shivan Harvest. Yeah. And that's now going in this deck. I didn't even know that card really existed. You knew about that card, but I hadn't seen it before. Well, it's an enchantment. It's 1 red and 1 colorless, and you can tap 1 and 1 red and 1 colorless, right? And you sacrifice a creature, destroy a non-basic land. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's awesome. Because what I'm doing, I have a lot of these sack outlets where I'm getting benefits. The Ashnods, you're getting mana. Bombardment, you're doing 1 damage. I have some other ones that you're revealing the top card, and if it's a non-land, it's that creature guy, whatever. But this is interesting because I can sack my guys and then destroy people's lands. But there is about 3 or 4 cards in this deck where, if you remember Ilrog, what that deck was built around was stealing everybody's creatures. I still have 3 cards in here that steal creatures, and so that's another way I can sack. So how shitty would that be? I steal your creature, destroy your non-basic land.
And sacrifice that creature after hitting them with it. So, that seems like a big swing.
Yeah, so I was like, I think I'm going to get that in there. That's really cheap. I think that's the hard part with this deck is the CMC for the whole deck is really high because you're cheating stuff out. You're not trying to actually play them. But some of these interesting things with creatures dying, these 3 I like a lot.
Yeah, Mimic Vat is awesome. This has the imprint. Whenever a non-token creature dies, you may exile that card. If you do, return each other card exiled with Mimic Vat to the graveyard. And then you can pay 3, tap it, a creature token of that exiled creature comes into play. You sack it at a turn.
So that's not only my creatures, it's everybody's creatures. So if I decide, actually, you have a better creature that I want.
Which shouldn't really happen.
No. But the other part of it is the you may part I like in it. It's not making it so you have to switch it up. So I really like that.
And actually, like along with it being a great card in this style of deck, like this actually stops like loops with Kakusho or Grey Merchant. So like when they're like, I'm going to sacrifice Grey Merchant and I'm going to bring it back. You're like, I'm going to exile it actually. So you just can't loop it. So this card is almost like a hate card on that style of combo in a game, along with just working really well in this style of deck. Let's go with Cauldron of Souls.
Yep, so that was Lowry.
I love this card.
Lowry mentioned that, and I had already kind of had it in there, but that was a good... Oh, excuse me, got hiccups. That was a good card to add in there. It works perfect with this. So Cauldron of Souls just is what we talked about earlier. It gives it persist. Lifeline's just stupid. It's such a good card. I know we've talked about it before, and it's a reserve list card, but you need to get it if you don't have it. It's
whenever a creature is put into the graveyard, if there is another creature in play, bring that creature back into play at end of turn.
I'm pretty sure
works for everybody.
Yeah, it is everybody. Yeah, so
but it is a trigger. So
so if it happens and then the board gets wiped, whatever was, we talked about that before too. When we discussed this card. Even if the board gets wiped, that will still come back into play because there was a creature in there. So then we have some kind of cool stuff. Wait, where's the
cool stuff?
Story Hazel.
Yeah.
Braid of Fire seems sweet. That's cumulative upkeep. Add 1 red mana to your mana pool at upkeep.
You like that? That's one of my new proxies that no one has seen yet. And and I added the little, I started changing our symbol to different spots. So it's like a Where's Waldo on some of the proxies. But the cool thing with this is Purphoros, his ability is the mana, you can do it any time. So on your upkeep, you could pop something out on your upkeep by using that
1,
mana.
2, 3, whatever is available there. And that seems like a
that's
really
coming
nice way.
In the testing. When I've gotten that out multiple times, that thing works like a charm. It's pretty sweet.
For sure. Mirage Mirror.
So
I see
you're making crazy creatures. You're making a copy of crazy creatures.
So question, I don't know if you actually looked up the rules on this one. So if you're copying a creature that you put into play with Purphoros, does it the Mirage Mirror also have that trigger
the sack
ability
thing?
of sacking?
No, because it doesn't say the creature gains this creature is sacrificed at the end of turn. You know what I'm saying? Purphoros is just, you're saying, like, you look at Purphoros, he just says sacrifice that creature.
Sacrifice it at the beginning. So it didn't
gain that ability. When they gain the ability, then it would stay on there.
Gotcha. Underworld Breach, which is a new card from the new Theros.
It gives all your stuff.
Escape.
Yeah, escape, which is pretty crazy. Especially since you're sacking stuff.
And it's only escape 3.
Mm-hmm. And you're sacrificing so many creatures, your graveyard should be filling up. So you should be able to play anything from your graveyard into play. Late game, this thing is crazy.
Yeah.
With my play testing, it didn't work because I didn't go very late game. So when I had it, it was kind of just like, oh, it's cool. But late game, I think that'll be in hand.
Sundial of the Infinite.
This is a card you really like that you've played lots of times.
This is 2 colorless and then 1 and tap it. End of turn or end the turn.
Yep.
That's it.
So,
activate this ability only during your turn.
So the point of this one is Purphoros. If you end the turn, you don't sack that creature.
You never hit the end of turn.
Yeah. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you've used this card more than I have, because I just bought it to get in this deck. Then you don't have to keep doing it every turn because it now past that end of turn, right? Or do you each turn have to keep hitting that?
Now it does depend on the wording, and I'm not skilled enough to know every different meaning for it. So it does work with some things, not with others. And
so to be safe, if I was playing this right now, I'd just be like, all right, tap it at the end of turn, I end my turn.
Yeah, yeah. You just to be safe, you can kind of
Number 2. Can you clarify this for us? Thank you. That'd be appreciated.
But the other great thing about this thing, so like in the reminder text, it's like exile all spells and abilities on the stack. Discard down to your maximum hand size. Damage wears off, and this turn end until end of turn effects end. So like, really, if somebody goes to like path to exile your Purphoros, you could just tap this. It exiles that spell off the stack. Doesn't happen. Like if you really can't have something happen on your turn, like if they're going like, I'm going to settle the wreckage. You're like, well, no combat, but I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep everything. Like that's a really cool little, it stops all those fucking combat tricks. So if somebody wants to like Cyclonic Rift on the end of your turn.
What a douche.
If somebody wants to Teferi's Protection at the end of your turn.
What a douche. Well, then nullify that shit.
Yeah. So it's a really powerful card because you are exiling all spells and abilities on the stack.
Yeah. I like it. I'm excited to play with that guy.
Experimental Frenzy is enchantment from last year. 3 colorless and a red to play, and then you may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play the top card of your library. You can't play cards from your hand, and then you can pay for or destroy Experimental Frenzy.
So not only you're playing off the top of your library, it's also you're able to, even though your hand's stacking out, you're able to use Purphoros' ability to pop him into play.
Yeah, cheat those creatures into play. Yeah, that's why I think that really works in this deck.
When I was playing it, I got these 2. So the next one that you have here, I got both of those in. And so that's where it got tricky because I couldn't play. You get what I'm saying with this one? So I might as well talk about the next one.
Fires of Invention is something that I absolutely love as a card.
See, I got the full art of that too.
I do. That's a good play. That's a good one. 3 and red, 1 red enchantment. You can cast spells only during your turn, and you can't cast no more than 1 or 2 spells per turn. Can't fucking talk.
At least you can't cast more than 2 smells.
Yeah, I mean, thank God you're not at Jimmy John's or something. You may cast spells with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana cost.
So that's where I had both of those out at one point. I had played Fires of Invention first, and then I played Experimental Frenzy on top of that. So Experimental Frenzy then was kind of useless because I couldn't cast anything from my hand.
Frenzy was useless?
No, sorry.
Fires.
Fires. Did I say Frenzy? I meant Fires, because then you can't use really its ability because you can't cast anything from your hand. But the point is, having one of these out and you're in a 100-card deck.
Wait, what? No. They work together. Fires of Invention. You can cast spells only during your turn.
Yeah.
And you can cast no more than 2 spells each turn.
But you can't cast spells with Experimental Frenzy from your hand. So
yeah, but this you can cast off the top of your library.
Right. Yeah, that's where I was saying I was just playing off of my library with him.
Okay.
And then, I guess I should go with everything. So I was playing off the library. I had to situated that I was playing off the top of my library with Fires of Invention because I couldn't cast anything from my hand. So I used the 2 spells from that, and then I was doing Purphoros with Experimental Frenzy, playing them from my hand.
They both are pretty similar cards.
Yeah, so that's what I was like
in this style, because even with Fires of Invention, you could play 2 creatures and still cheat in a bunch more creatures if you wish.
Correct, and that's the point of this. Just think of these as being separate, because most likely you're not going to have both of them out at the same time. So what you're just saying there, why Fires of Invention is amazing, is cast 2 of them for free with all the mana. Your mana. I did 37 land, by the way.
Yeah.
I
they
didn't
still
do
get
36.
haste because of Purphoros.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're not typically playing. You aren't playing on other people's turn unless you're cheating them in. So that doesn't even take an effect with Fires of Invention.
Yeah, because like turn 5, you can go like Fires of Invention, Purphoros.
Yeah.
Have 1 mana open. I don't know what the fuck you're gonna do with it, but that's
a good point. You play that first, and you can play your.
That's
whatever.
what I do in my Kenrith deck. If I have Fires of Invention, I wait until turn 5, then I play them both for free, and then maybe sometimes I can get some benefit off of Kenrith's abilities.
So Fires of Invention is another card we were talking before the podcast. That's another one I spec'd on with this, and I was picking up full arts of those guys.
Fires of Invention.
Because not only were you ramping it up, I mean, when we did the spoilers of it, I talked about it, but I've heard other casts talk about it too. So if everybody's talking about this card, is a good card, and once you actually play with it,
this was a top 10 card for me of the last year. I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I love that card.
So, but that was my Purphoros deck. So there's a lot more to it. Yeah, well, I wanted to shorten it up, and we still went 40 minutes long.
Welcome.
So it seems a lot more fun than what Ilhrog was. The difference is I'm not as worried when he comes into play, because most like I didn't have to put any protection stuff in here. And then it's like, if you kill my stuff, well, that's kind of the point. A lot of the stuff, I'm either sacking them or I want them to die or something happens there. So, but like I said, when I first tested it around, I ran into trouble with running out of a hand. And so I was just like, shit, how do I add stuff in there? So some things I added in was Skull Clamp, because I'm sacrificing them. So why not? And it's only 1 to attach it. You had mentioned Mind's Eye. That's on my sideboard, kind of going to maybe put that in, because I do have extra mana sitting there.
Did you check out that Atlas card that I told you about?
Which one?
It's 2 colorless to activate, and then you get to draw a card if you have 3 land of the same type. Oh. Otherworldly? No, it's not Otherworldly Atlas. It's from the Commander set last year. I think that's a really good card to consider in monocolored decks.
Mm-hmm. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
I would check that out.
It
comes down really early when you're
2 to do it to draw. Yeah. I'll have to check that one out too. But I think once I added the 2 at least card draw, I think it bumped my number up to around 9 or 10 card draw things in there. They're weird draw. You know, red is just weird with drawing. It's not like, here, draw 3 cards. It's like, do this trick and then shit out your face, and then you get to draw a card. Like, just make it so complicated. So I'm hoping to play test this. Actually, I'm supposed to be at Trombley's in a half hour, which I'm not going to make that in a half hour, but I'll be there. And I'm hoping. And
well, good day, folks. We're done.
That is the end of CommanderSmiths, because I want to go play Magic. All right. Well, let's. Should we move on to the next segment?
Card Kingdom stuff thingies. I did not partake, so I'm going to be asking questions like everybody else.
Well, no. I mean,
I don't know.
Have you done a buy list?
Yeah, not as big as you guys though.
But what did you do when you did a buy list? Why did you do a buy list? I think we talked about
why did I do a buy list? Because it was easy percentages instead of trying to move them.
Were they spec cards, or were they cards that you just had a bunch of?
They're cards that I had for trade that would be comparative, that like I don't see anybody wanting them, but if they did want them, it'd be $1 or $2. And so, but Card Kingdom's like, I would like to trade you, or, you know, essentially trade you credit for $1 or $2. And I'm like, well, it's easier this way. I don't have to hold on to it. I can just move it really quick. And normally I stick to about $100 with them.
Nice.
So, and I've done it twice, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And that was a year ago at this point.
So I guess I'll start from the beginning. So we've talked about this all the time because it's repeating. But we have our proxy rule, so we only need to have 1 of the cards. Trombley and Jeremy both just recently started going through all their collection. Actually, Trombley started making proxies on his own, using the video that I made and designing his own proxies, which is awesome. That's cool. And if you guys do the same thing, share those with us, because I'd like to see them, because that's cool seeing what Trombley has done. He's like, hey, check this one out. But anyways, so he didn't realize, both of them were like, oh crap, I have either multiple copies because they were playing in multiple decks, or didn't realize the card was so expensive. And so Trombley went through his whole collection. I don't know if Jeremy went through his whole collection, but he was going through and get rid of duplicates. And they just did huge buy lists in of all their duplicates, and started getting pieces of things that we've talked about that you need for Commander, like dual lands, fetches, what else there was? Oh, shock lands, all the...
just filling out a mana base was the big thing I saw, which was nice to see. Even number 2 was getting lands and stuff.
So that was the interesting thing too, is then, and I was like, I should go through my stuff again. And what ended up happening is I was going through my stuff, reorganizing my binders, because that's one thing Cindy makes fun of me. It's just like, oh, you reorganizing your stuff again, because I have a different idea of how I want this organized. So like my really expensive cards that are $5 or more are in a separate binder. I've explained this before, and they were just by color sorted. I've all the 5 colors. Then I have artifacts. Then my binder's too thick, so now let me give myself this.
Oh, good for you.
We can do both of them. Yeah.
But so I had to do another binder.
Funny that we got 2 similar just to make fun of it. All
right. So then my next binder has Planeswalkers as a thing. The multicolored generals is one. And then I get into my non-basic lands, dual lands, shock lands. Like I have it all separated. Then I decided to really go back to the colors and go, all right, instants and sorceries and enchantments and auras and creatures and legendary creatures. Like I organized the shit out of it for when you were gone. When you were gone. That's what I was doing. Yeah. When I should have been messing with this board and adding new buttons to it, I was organizing my magic cards in my camper, still in the camper. So when I was doing that, I found more cards in there that I was like, okay, I have multiple copies of this. And then what I was doing was I was checking Goldfish and kind of seeing where they were sitting. If they kind of had plateaued or they're at a top, and I felt like that card might have potential of reprintability, I was taking them out because I was like, okay, I don't need this anymore. I have one copy, whatever. So I took all those out, and then I went through some of my specs. So like Zendikar Resurgent, I had 65 non-foil copies that I got for under $1.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and now they're about $4. I was getting $4.50 store credit from Card Kingdom.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and what's coming out this year? Green Commander, the special set.
Yeah,
that might make it into there. So there was quite a few green things that I was going after, and I was like, this isn't on a reserve list. This hasn't been printed for a while, and it's a staple kind of green card. I could see that being printed in there. I kept all my foil ones.
And you also quadrupled up on that.
Right. So that one, my spec was up. So I don't like, I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say ornery, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not bullheaded, stubborn. My failed specs, I don't like to get rid of them until I made money off of them. So the failed ones just kind of sit there and just wait for them to spike.
How I would look at it though is you haven't failed until you got rid of them. So
yeah, that's a good point.
If you buy something and you're like, I give up on it, and you lose 50 cents per card, then you lost.
Yeah.
You're never going to recoup that. But if you just hang on to it because there isn't any reason to move
sell it, yeah.
Then why feel bad about it?
So that's kind of what happened with Zendikar Resurgent, because remember how high I was on that card for the longest time, and you're just like, man, that's just a lot of mana, and it is a lot of mana.
I don't like it. I don't play it.
But it is Commander, and that's the only thing that's really driving that price up is because it's 7. You get it out, it's ridiculous because you're doubling your mana. You're drawing a card whenever you're casting a card. Like, it's just a good card. I
agree with you that it has a good potential to be reprinted because it was reprinted in a Commander set, which whenever you print it there, I think that's a big red flag for
saying that they want to use it.
Yeah.
So I got rid of those. I got rid of multiple things that I just didn't have. Anyways, I went through and basically I bought some really expensive cards that I didn't have for Commander.
Yeah, but how much did you trade in?
$933.
That's quite a bit.
And the interesting thing is, try to always, when you're buying specs, unless you're just trying to keep it in your collection, go for the near mint if you have to light play, because this time was the best return. I've done ones before. When one of those buy lists that I did send in was when we did the Lake of the Dead ones. Mm-hmm. And remember when that card went crazy, I bought a bunch of them for moderate play to heavy play, and man, they discount the crap out of those on there. But so of my $933, I got $897 store credit back.
Oh, okay, yep.
So it was pretty good. It was actually pretty much what I went through, and I made a note to it because I have heard Fast Finance talk about how Card Kingdom has, or I don't know if they necessarily name Card Kingdom, but they've said who they've sent a buy list in has tried to be like downgrade their stuff, and he's had to like argue with them back because he's like, oh, actually, he said one of it was they sold the hit to him for near mint, and he just turned around and gave it back, and then they downgraded it, trying to say it was a different quality when he's like, this was in the same condition you gave it to me. Anyways, I didn't have that with this. The cards that I put on there that I thought were light play, they had as excellent, not the top, they had it the notch down. There was only one card that I didn't have, that they didn't have near mint, that I, vice versa. It was, so it came out pretty nice. Another thing, number 2 at the same exact time, like the same day we both did it. And he's like, hey, I'm sending these cards in. And I was like, that's fucking crazy because I'm sending my cards in. But so I kind of talked to him. I was like, why did you send a buy list in? And he said, basically, too lazy to go through it all and try to sell it or trade it. And so that's why he sent his cards in. And then he got a bunch of stuff that he needed for decks. Yeah. But he did mention that if he had the time, he would do kind of what you do with CardSphere. So do you think you'll ever do like a buy list, or do you think you're always going to try?
I've been actually thinking about sitting down and seeing what, it's not bad, like once or twice a year to go through my like trade box and just see what can I get in a return that's fairly comparable for what I can be getting a trade for. And then it's just an easy send in like that. That's the big thing, is just like, am I in trades with CardSphere, they ask for percentages like 65, 75, 80. That's the general thing, is right around 70. And so you're going, well, if I can get about 70% from Card Kingdom, like, and I can build up enough. Like, I don't want to send in $25. Like, in my mind, I want to send a big package for them to have. Well, I just don't want to like buy one card. I'd much rather have like a bunch of stuff to work with there. And so that it's not a bad thing to do if you're having a lot of turnover within your trade binder. Because like right now, before I left for Arizona, on CardSphere, I'd send out about $176. I've done a lot of purchasing in the last like 2 months since I've been aggressive with CardSphere, because I want to like
dollar to duels.
Yeah, dollars to duels. So that it like, I've been pretty aggressive with that, and I have a lot more turnover recently. So I'm probably going to go through and see like, what can I move for a decent price instead of sitting on it and wait. Because some of it, I just don't see it going up too much more. So I think that's the big thing.
So that just triggered something of some of the other ones. There were about 8 eBay listings. So I went through also what you kind of just said there with your CardSphere stuff. I went through my eBay listings and compared the price of my trade-in value to Card Kingdom. There was a few of them out of the 8. There was probably 4, so half of them, that I got more money off of CardSphere than selling them on eBay.
Kingdom.
Or what did I say? CardSphere. Yeah, on Card Kingdom than selling them on eBay. And then I'm like, well, fuck, I'm taking this off here as soon as it's like I'm losing money by the 10% that eBay takes, not to mention the whatever percentage that PayPal takes, and I have to ship it and all that. Well, I have to ship it anyways to Card Kingdom, but I was like, fuck, I'm going to do that.
But if you can put all of that, because that's the whole thing of putting all of it in one package.
Then it's a lot cheaper.
It's a lot cheaper.
Because I probably sent in 200 cards, 150, 200 cards worth, I think. Really, the Zendikar Resurgence is the one that jumped up. Yeah. But
instead of sending out 15 packages and spending $30 on shipping, you sent one package out and spent $5.
No, because it was $900. I did insurance on that shit.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense.
I think it was like $13. Insurance covered me up to $1,000. So I was like, okay, I'll do insurance on.
But it's still cheaper than sending out
all those. I mean, think of think of if I sold the Zendikar Resurgence, all 65 of them for $4 a piece, I'm paying up the wazoo, 55 cents at least per stamp on those. So that was another thing, is if they were close enough where I didn't have to sit there and wait for them to sell, I was like, well, yeah, I might make $1 more on eBay, but I can get rid of it now and get this money right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was another thing. So I'd say if you're selling stuff, kind of compare it to Card Kingdom, because you'd be surprised. There were cards that I know I had checked before I put them on eBay, and they weren't as expensive on Card Kingdom, but Card Kingdom's prices fluctuate as well. And now those cards there are in demand, and so that it was made more sense to mail it in to a buy list.
Now, is there a reason why you and we go with Card Kingdom? Are they
That's kind of like our baby. That's the one we started with, isn't it?
And so I'm wondering,
I have done Channel Fireball once.
Have you? How was that?
I was same as Card Kingdom.
Same as fine.
The one thing I will say about Card Kingdom is they're so fast.
That's probably
they
true.
get it, and then they go through it within a day or two, and then you get your cards within 2 days. They're probably the fastest shipping. They're faster than most anything, like eBay, anything.
If I do Card Kingdom and TCG, Card Kingdom's there 2 days before anything TCG.
For sure.
TCG is slow as fuck. If you're in a hurry.
You're right, because I have cards still coming from TCG that I bought a week before I did this with Card Kingdom. I got my stuff
2 weeks before I left. I bought from TCG and Card Kingdom. I had one package left, and it came in while I was, so it was 2 weeks later after I ordered it.
Oh, so
came in while I was in Arizona. Oh. It was just like, Jesus, I forgot I even had that coming.
But yeah, it is kind of funny that Card Kingdom was where we kind of started with our search engine stuff. Isn't that
yeah, that is true. Yeah, that's where we used to
go.
Building
decks is you kind of how we used to do it was
click on a card, and then there's cards associated.
Like this,
and then you're like, what about that card? Oh, that kind of works with that.
This
cool.
wormhole, yeah. Or a rabbit hole. That was the way we started. And then
you learned a lot of cards that way because it just kind of spiderwebbed out.
Yeah.
And it was,
what card did I even start with? It wasn't even anything like this. All right. So that should do it for that. Do we want to get into our ANLQ really quick, or are we good at the hour mark? Should we just fire off two of these just to test this out?
Just to see what, yeah.
Okay.
I think you're excited about this.
I am excited.
I am too. I think controversial questions.
Controversial. At the same time. Ready?
Controversial questions.
Right.
Totally works with the music.
It does. Yeah. The badass voices with...
No, there was one like that today on the radio. I thought it was a radio commercial for a lawyer, and it was for shopping for furniture.
Oh, nice.
Don't you just hate it when you have to leave your house? I was just like, what? Very confused.
All right. So we'll just run through these really quick. They don't have to be long answers or anything like that.
But they will, because that's what we do.
Okay. So one that I kind of mentioned to you before is paper or plastic?
Paper.
So when you're at the grocery store, you get paper?
Yeah.
Always?
I try, except for meat. Meat goes in plastic.
I do plastic.
You do plastic all the way?
Yeah. You want to know why?
Because you got 2 dogs. You got to pick up their shit.
Kind of similar.
That's what we do.
A couple of things. We have 2 kids. When they're in diapers,
you got to pick up their shit.
You got to put their diapers in something. Yeah. You don't want it in your trash can inside.
Yeah.
So that that's
a good point.
We had the shit bag. So at the end of every day, we'd bring that out and put it in the outside garbage. Number 2, we don't buy your little garbage cans for your bathrooms.
Oh, the little, yeah, okay, yeah.
We don't buy any of those because we just use Target bags for that.
Okay.
And so we use, and actually, number 3, on big eBay things that you sell or whatever, Target bags are amazing for packaging. It's better than anything else. If you have something that's breakable, like plates or something that you're mailing, you use Target bags and you just line the crap out of that box and it will not break. It's amazing.
Huh. Yeah, so, I mean, I'll use plastic for smaller things, but God, there's a hierarchy. If I can just hold it in my hand super easy, push the cart when the kid's in it, I'll just not use a bag at all.
I was gonna say, do you ever use reusable bags?
Nah, my wife does that. I always forget that shit.
Yeah. Well, and they're starting, and you're the one that's probably affected more than me because I think it's Minneapolis is starting to charge per if you're using a plastic bag.
I've been seeing
it hasn't hit us up in the north suburbs yet, but yeah, I use plastic because I have other uses. I'm cheap. that way, or reusing it and recycling in a way because I'm using it for other things that we use around the house.
When we went shopping in California for J-Tree there, and California apparently has all reusable plastic bags. You got to pay for them though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were like super thick, and like me and my brother were like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like,
like you didn't even have an option to grab a.
You could. I mean, like if you had a bag and you wanted to use a bag, or you could just skip it. But we were buying a ton of groceries for camping and stuff like that, so we were just like, "Yeah, we'll take plastic bags." And at the end, it was like a couple bucks for bags. I was like, "Oh shit,
son of a bitch."
What happened? Then we asked him. He's like, "It's all over California."
Oh.
I was like, "How the fuck are we supposed to know?" So, but yeah, that was an interesting thing too. Yeah, you could use those as like rain hats. They're thick.
Really?
Yeah.
When you get on an airplane, do you recline your seat when the plane takes off, or do you keep your seat in the upright position?
Upright position.
Good job.
Because I'm not a dickhead.
Yeah.
I'm a big guy, and I should be able to, but I know
that the person behind you would not want that being
no
done
matter
to
how
you.
little they are.
Yeah.
Like it's just a dickhead move to recline back, unless everybody's reclining back,
or there's nobody behind you. If there's nobody behind you, go ahead, do it. But I typically don't. I don't ever do that because then I also don't want, especially if I'm sleeping on the flight, I don't want to get that wake up when you're landing. You know, I like when you wake up and you hit the ground. And you're like, whoa, that was a really fast flight. I hate the flight attendant coming by. Upright position, please. Upright position. You're like, fuck, I was sleeping, damn it.
I can't sleep
I don't
with
sleep
it
very well
back
on the planes,
anyway.
though.
Like it doesn't go far enough back.
Yeah, it is only, 3 inches? So really people that are doing it is just kind of almost being douchebags. And we probably have listeners that are just like, hey, I do that.
Yeah.
Well, you're a douchebag.
Hopefully it's only 2 listeners. No, I mean,
just
like,
lost half our listeners.
that is controversial. Yeah, no. So what I normally do is I just put the table down, put my arms on it, put my forehead against the front seat.
Can you sleep on a plane very well?
That's about the best way I can do it. It's relatively okay.
The only way I can is if I bring a pillow on with me and then I get a window seat because then I can lay against the window. If I can't lay against the window, I can't sleep. And even that, I can't sleep. I have to sleep on my stomach. So sitting up is really horrible for me.
Yeah.
My wife. It's weird saying my wife because you know Cindy, but she does the whole head thing where her head starts to drop.
Yeah, but she does that on the couch.
Yeah,
too.
she does it everywhere. Driving, watching movies.
I like how you led with driving.
All right, let me just do one more. So when do you do the zipper merge? And what the zipper merge is if a lane is ending, they say to zipper merge where you're supposed to everybody go up to as far as you can and then move in, or do you move into the non-closed lane as soon as possible?
I'm an idiot and move into the lane quicker than I should. Zipper lane is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but
I do not do that.
I'm halfway. I'll go past the first row of suckers that are Lowry sitting there.
Yep.
And then I'll get it to where that second lane starts to slow down, and then I'll move over, which sometimes it's towards the end or sometimes it's, still a long ways.
Yeah.
Do you get pissed at the people that do it when there's only 1 or 2 people that come up? I have done that before where I've had my camper on the back and it'll start to move into that lane so people don't try to pass me. And then you just get people going in the shoulder passing you because they just want to go as fast as they can up there.
One reason why, if it's a 2-laner, then yeah, I just do it wrong. But if you're on an interstate where it's 3 or 4 lanes, the main reason I'm getting over is so that I can get into the more open lane faster. Does that make sense? So if there's 3 lanes and
you just don't like merging is what you're saying.
I also don't like merging, but the one on the outside is going relatively normal speed. The one that's merging is much slower. So if I can get over into the merging lane, I can get over into the free lane. So
I guess I'm more
quicker.
talking about if you have 2 lanes and you're
if there's only 2 lanes. Yeah, I mean either way I do it that way, but I get the advantage if there's 3 or 4 because right now on 35W, you got 4 lanes. One closes off. I'm always in the slow lane because I'm slow.
Surprise!
Yeah. But then I run into that and I go boop boop and then go normal. So like I try and be quick and come over as quick as possible to get into that free lane. That happens sometimes. A lot of the times for me because that's my road.
Gotcha.
So
controversial questions.
Top.
Oh shit! I tried to get it. I missed it. All right. Well, let's wrap this up so I can go play some Magic because I got to go test my deck out, test my Purphoros out. Boop, 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 boop. All right. We will catch you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.
Sega.